I break a leg.
What movie are we doing again? Shit.
Welcome
to another episode of the Back Catalog Podcast. This is the podcast where we, and by we I mean me, Apo, and my co-host / co-founder Vincent, we dive into the streaming service. We tell you, the listener and the viewer, what is worth it and what is not. And Vincent, we are here. And let me tell you one thing, Vincent. We're back on our bullshit.
I don't think we can say that and mark this episode as not explicit. Or is that explicit?
SHIT is explicit.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
So you've just ruined this whole podcast.
Yeah, but you see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 podcast explicit, like you don't know what you're in for.
I don't think
there's tentacles, there's everything.
Bro, there's tentacles in this movie, actually.
There's tentacles in this movie.
Now that you say that.
Let's get into the facts and then we'll get into the tentacles, all right? Yeah. So this is 2023's very own Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's got 8 out of 10 on the IMDb, and I'm losing words here. Again, we ate pizza before we started.
Yeah, but you got CTE from yesterday. and an actual CTE.
I got the 81%. I got it as well. The 81% on the Rotten Tomatoes. And it has a budget of $250 million, which is just like, if you get a Marvel movie, you're just going to throw $250 million at it.
Yeah.
That's just what it is.
That's just the stock standard. You're getting $250 million.
Not one, not two, not three. It's $250 million.
That's why if you want to know the next best money-making scheme, sign up to the Patreon, 7-day free trial. You get all the schemes for free. Well, after you pay. Well, I mean, you can get them for free for 7 days. And there'll be a money-making scheme there today.
And like, you got to grind. And that's what it is. It's all about grind. So if you grind in that 7 days, you get the schemes.
Yeah.
And then you'll be able to use them.
That's right.
And look, it had a box office of $845.3 million. Let me hit you with a synopsis, then we'll jump right in. We'll just jump right into it. Still reeling from the loss of Gamora, Peter Quill must rally his team to defend the universe and protect one of their own. If the mission is not completely successful, it could possibly lead to the end of the Guardians as we know them. Which, successfully also led to the end of the Guardians as we know them. But we're here, though.
But,
we've arrived, Vincent.
But, some things change, some things don't change. And that's exactly what happened in this movie.
So I want to get into this because this is us jumping back into Marvel after a big break.
Yeah, the last Marvel movie we watched was what? Was Thor Love and Thunder?
It was probably Thor Love and Thunder.
Which I think we were mixed on that.
Yeah, I didn't like the first half, enjoyed the last half of it. But that's like, you get beaten up, someone gives you ice cream after. That's the best ice cream you ever had.
I think...
You know what I mean?
I think that my feelings about this movie are probably similar to how I felt about that movie.
And I can't remember what that was.
I can't remember either, but I'm imagining it as what I thought of that movie in, past Vincent, but I'm present Vincent, and we don't talk.
And you got different problems.
And we got different problems.
I mean, you got 99 problems, and this podcast might be one of them.
Bro, this podcast is like 84 of them.
So I gotta ask you right here, right now, just from the top. We're just gonna get into it right from the top. Yeah. One of the things that we didn't like about the Marvel movies and the latest Marvel slate was that it just felt like it was everything and anything just popped into one movie, and there's no real focus. There was no real focus and no real love it felt like the love for the characters had left because they're like, we've got something in the distance we need to get to.
Yeah, it felt like, hey, we've got to put in 54 cameos.
Yeah.
We've got to do it because we've got to set up Marvel Phase 44. And Kevin Feige going to be frozen in a cryo tube.
Like Disney will be next to him.
He'll be frozen with the hat. They'll freeze his hat with him, and he'll still be pumping out movies.
And they just thaw out the top bit and just put the new hat on for the next movie, then they freeze it over. Yeah, dude. This is what it felt like.
Yeah.
And
this movie would have been good if they got rid of some of the storylines that they for some reason put in, and they didn't. They almost started them. Finished them. There was nothing in the middle.
Right. Let's get into right now your thoughts on this movie in regards to whether you liked it or not.
Okay. Listen to me here.
Listen you.
Listen to me. And that's, that's something that you might know from the Patreon After Dark if you listen to that. Because that was, anyway. This movie, when I was watching it, it was a movie that I was frustrated with because I'm someone who you put superheroes on the screen, I'll like it.
You like it, dude.
And I still, overall, I think I enjoyed this movie, but it was objectively a poor film, a poor story. Right. I didn't think the way that they actually, what's the word? They showed us what happened to, Rocket. They showed us this Adam bloke, which, he had one scene in it that I think is absolutely unreal. And then the rest of it was just, why have they got him still in this movie?
Right. So Adam was a guy he was teased in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Is his name Adam Warlock?
Adam Warlock, yeah, from the, I don't know.
Those gold people,
yeah.
He was made to be just like, this is the guy that's going to defend us, going to make things work. Yeah. But he's also still developing as like,
yeah, he's got, obviously he's got powers and he's got let's say the appearance of maybe a 20 something year old, but he's probably got the mental age of a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. And that is good in isolation. But like a lot of this movie, it just felt like they threw a whole bunch of stuff and, some of it was good, some of it was not good. Overall, it wasn't that good, but I still enjoyed watching it because there were some good moments. And I do enjoy just watching superheroes and the Guardians of the Galaxy.
And this is, in very many ways, an aesthetically pleasing movie. Like, the aesthetics of this movie is unreal to me compared to, let's not say, not compared to a Wes Anderson joint.
I don't know who
we're not talking about that one where they're all in Asteroid City specifically, and there's like Scarlett Johansson as like one character, then you got Steve Carell as another character, and that's the movie.
I haven't seen that movie.
It's just come out.
Okay.
I think it's literally just came out like this week, so it's good that you haven't seen it because apparently it's not good. But that's those are probably more aesthetically pleasing than this. But for a superhero. We're throwing 250 million at you to usually using green screens and, someone's wearing a hat. This was quite aesthetically pleasing for me.
See, I think a lot of the, they're in the ship and now they're zooming off somewhere using these gates to other worlds. I feel like that almost has lost its novelty to me.
Right.
I'm looking at that, I'm going, I don't care. Just go to the place. Just show them, hey, we're in the ship. And then just go to the next place, put a bit of text on the screen, and we're here. And you might be in nowhere.
And how can you tell someone you're here when you're in nowhere?
I'm in nowhere.
And these things have happened. We have the same thing with Star Wars, where it's like, we've hit light speed that many times that, how many times am I going to see blue and white flashing lights come past my screen and think this is mesmerizing, this is exciting.
Yeah. I think they just do it too often almost. I don't even know how many times they did in this movie.
I reckon they've done about 3 times.
It could have been just because I was a bit frustrated with this film as a whole because I feel like this was 2.5 hours.
It was 2.5 hours.
This did not need to be a 2.5 hour film. This could have been an easy 1 hour, 1 hour 45, sorry, an hour and a half, an hour 45, right. 2 hour tops. Honestly, the whole thing with Adam Warlock and the other gold lady, they could have just got rid of it completely. They didn't need, it was only in there to then set Adam up as, spoilers, he's a Guardian of the Galaxy.
He's in the next run of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Which, did someone, oh no, it was in regards to the Avengers. I saw this post where it was showing the new leaders of the Avengers, and one of them was Captain America, the Falcon version. The other one was Shuri, and then the other lead member was someone else. And someone commented on it saying 8th seed. This is an 8th seed team. And this is very similar to the Guardians of the Galaxy.
They're not even making the playoffs. They're not even making the planes.
They'll be fighting for planes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're fighting to stay in the finals.
But so that's one of the things that we've discussed. They've just put it in there because they're setting up other things.
Yeah.
You didn't need a he comes in there to start off, hey, I'm going to get Rocket Raccoon because I'm working for this dude that's got a stretched out face.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but you didn't need him there to do it. He was what's that dude's name? This dude's name?
Which guy are you talking about?
The guy that does gravity things. The guy with the stretched out face.
Okay, he was called the...
I just heard Sire. obviously is.
He was called something that, you create things. Like, he wasn't the creator, but he could have been the creator.
The creator adjacent.
He's the creator adjacent.
The counter creator, because he made Counter Earth.
Because he made Counter Earth, and
if he made Counter Strike, then people can be happy.
Dude, if he made Counter Strike Go, dude, what's going on? The High Evolutionary.
The High Evolutionary.
So it's not really the creator.
That's right, but it's tomatoes.
That's right.
And you didn't need. It could have just been his people going to get him. He didn't need to be this other sub story of gold people
rolling Adam into it.
Yeah, but then. Like we said, it's only there to then have another movie. Yeah. Hey, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 4, there's new heads. We got a guy who can whistle again. We got a guy who's gold. We got a lady who doesn't say jub jub anymore.
If you said jub jub continuously, that would be
hilarious.
That would be good for me. Yeah.
And then you got Groot, who's just been at Dermot's all day, every day.
Dude, Groot has been on something. I don't know what trees do, but we got Trembutylane or whatever it's called here.
Also,
he got Tributylane in him.
Whatever that is, he's doing TRTs. He's going he's
doing TRTs.
He getting CRTs. He's getting chlorophyll replacement therapy or something. And the funniest part about that Groot did in this, the funniest situation of Groot was when at the end he goes, "I love you guys," which dumb idiot thing. Because number one, just get him to say I'm Groot. He doesn't need to. He doesn't. Oh, Groot. He's now two-dimensional because he can say two things.
Yeah, if Groot now starts talking, it's gonna change a lot of things.
It's just gonna. All I'm thinking is Vin Diesel. I'm thinking is white singlet.
Yeah.
Gold chain. We're family.
That was one of the best things about him saying "I love you guys." Was that was the first time I was like, "Oh, this is Vin Diesel."
Yeah.
This is the Diesel,
which was hilarious. But they didn't need to do
that. Let me just chat about echo some things that you were saying. I feel that this movie, there was elements of it that were very much just setting up the next Guardians of the Galaxy. And for many reasons, it's probably because James Gunn is now finished with the Guardians because he's doing DC things. He said DC this movie and DC these nuts. And then he left, right? And
if you look at past tweets, he might have said that.
I mean, he might. He'd been in trouble for some tweets.
He'd been in trouble with some tweets, and if he deleted it, he could have been DCing these nuts.
Yeah, dude, and that's fair enough. So long as you're not showing them and you're just telling people to DC them, then that's fine. But my thoughts are that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was meant to be Guardians versus Adam Warlock, and then Guardians of the Galaxy 4 was meant to be a close off. This is the end. But because he's gone DCDs, he's I'm just going to have to wrap up this story now. As tightly as I can, which ended up being a 2 hour and 40 minute movie.
It wasn't a tight
wrap up. But I think that's what did let this movie down. That the story, and it was there was elements of closure, right? In some circumstances, but it also, for example, one of the elements of closure was Peter Quill was you know what, I'm just going to go to Earth and see my grandfather, and I'm just going to be on Earth. And he's at the end of the movie, he's talking about, hey, we're mowing the lawns here.
Yeah, all that. Janice wants me to mow a lawn, and I got a son. He's 45. He's able-bodied. He's just watching me mowing the lawns. And his grandfather's going don't get me started. This movie had so many good parts in it, but there was a lot of just fluff in between all of it.
There was. What I was going to get at with that is you have that, and then you're okay, Star-Lord, he's found his home. He lost Gamora. He lost, the Guardians of the Galaxy have split up as we know it. He has found his home. And then the next thing comes up is Star-Lord will return. Yeah. And it's hold on a second. You've closed this man's story.
Nah, he'll return and it'll just be him mowing the lawn in the after credit scene of the next movie.
If it's that, then that's pretty funny. Especially if it's 20 years down the track, it's just him mowing the lawn.
Just him mowing the lawn. And the dude's still on the porch looking at him.
Looking at him. But he's not able-bodied anymore.
Because that's 20 years.
There's elements of this movie that I think was that I think let it down. And one of those is that you're closing out all these stories, but also you're opening them up to a thing where it's what are we going to get? We're going to get a Mantis.
That's the thing. There's just too
TV
many.
TV show now?
There's too many. I'm not going to touch on that yet, but I'm going to say I think, and this is me just throwing things at the wall and seeing what's
spitballing. We spitball here.
That's what we do because we don't prepare. I've written about 5 things down, and they're mostly about how things were hilarious, funny bits.
Okay, well, We'll do
We can do that after.
We'll do Vinny's funny bits before we leave.
And so these are the issues I have with this movie.
Also, welcome, Mr. VDT. Yeah, VDT, welcome. We were meant to have a guest on this episode, but like he didn't rock up.
Oh,
I mean, he told me in advance that he wasn't going to rock up, but he didn't come.
Bro, someone been knocking at the door for a while. You think
that might be VDT?
It doesn't matter now.
We'll get into this.
Anyway, things that led this movie down. This is why I think it's similar to how I think I felt out of Thor, God of Thunder, and he's like loving things. Is you had the first two movies, you had Thor Ragnarok, which was Taika Waititi, and it felt like he's got an idea and he's just running with it, and he's focused. This one here, James Gunn did the first two. They had their own flair.
Yeah.
This one felt like it's just another Marvel movie. And the way it felt like that, James Gunn in the first two movies, there was a lot of music, a lot of classic, absolute hitters. And he'd use them to, set the scene, whatever. There was so much of that in this movie, which might be just because it's a 2.5 hour movie, so they had to put more things in it. But there were so many songs that it was almost... they lost their
meaning.
Not their meaning, but they lost their impact because there were so many of them.
Yeah. It's like you say a word, just any word, you choose one out of your own volition. You say that one now. You say that 20 times in your head. You're thinking, is this how people do it? Is this what it is? And that's what happened with this music, right? Is this what it was in Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2? Now, I disagree with it slightly because one of the things that I really liked about this movie, and I enjoyed it, and I'll tell you out of 10 how much I enjoyed it later in this podcast because that's what we do here. But I think that this was the first one that felt like, in many ways, it was in its own universe. And what I mean by that is that
I would agree with that. Yeah,
that although it did set a lot of stuff up, it wasn't like.
It felt more self-contained than a lot of the other ones.
Yeah, it wasn't like Gamora wasn't like, hey, look, I was just with Kang, and he's on some charges, so we won't see him next time. Like he's got some charges, he's dealing with some things from the lawyers. We won't see him next time. It wasn't a lot of that, and that made me feel a little bit more like, okay, if we could just get good directors and good writers doing some standalone stories, just for a little bit, just pace it out for a bit before you do something bigger. Marvel could actually have the success, and I mean, when I say success, it's still getting the box office success.
They're getting dollars.
But when you see things like, I don't know if you've seen Secret Invasion.
I've been on YouTube and I saw 2 thumbnails and titles of people saying this is pretty much garbage.
I've only watched like bits and pieces of it, and it's like, I just don't know where the heart is. I think they're just like, we need to get this done.
Yeah.
And it needs to lead into this. And like this superhero may or may not be in the next one. Like we might just completely take him out.
Yeah.
There's a scene in that movie in which there's a superhero that is added to this story that has the power of every single Avenger, essentially, right? And it versus the Super Skrull, who also has the power of every single Avenger. Drax's arm pops up. It's got Captain Marvel's powers, right? And then you're going to bring them into the mainline universe, and it's going to be like, well, what are you going to do with their powers? How are you going to nerf these people to be a part of the universe? Like, if you got every single power, how are you going to nerf it in the next movie so that they can like just chill with Captain America?
So what will happen is the next generation, they'll have like more powers. There's power creep. People just get stronger, and then they'll put them on the ban list. They'll be like, hey, sorry, and that's trading card. That's like trading card.
Yeah, dude. I thought you were talking about like PEOs and stuff, but
I don't know what PEOs are.
Like performance enhancing. No, PEDs. Sorry, PEDs. PEOs. That's something completely different. But performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they'll do something like that.
But I'll agree with you that this felt like it was in its own. It was contained as much as it could be, and I think a lot of the locations that we're at were good.
When they're all in like those Among Us suits, that place that they go to, which is like
that place was. That place was good. Man. I don't know how I felt about that.
That was one of my favorite scenes of this movie.
I felt like I don't know. There was something about this movie that was just a little bit weird, and that's normally fine for me.
You see Nathan Fillion's in that big old suit?
Yeah, but I think a lot of the dialogue I didn't really like in this movie. They're talking about, I got one of those, and his dude's right there.
Like you got Zagnuts and whatnot, but like you've only got the one Zagnut left.
Whatever.
You've got like 3 Zagnuts left.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what also annoyed that this was probably one of the probably not one. There was so much. The quantum Hibligator. You could have put it in the Bajigama thing. You could have done that, and there was so much rubbish talk.
Like sci-fi talk.
Yeah,
but low tier sci-fi talk is what you're trying to.
Low tier, but the thing is, there was almost too much in quick succession. They're just saying gibberish, and then it's almost you got to go. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
there's a certain point when you say enough rubbish that you lose people.
Also, don't say rubbish. Don't say rubbish, like not the word rubbish, but like the rubbish that you said in like such quick succession. Because like you'll say like
I know I'll say something that'll get us cancelled.
Like there'll be a slur like mixed into like quantum flux capacitor.
In this like old Latin, this fork of like the Latin language, that was a racial slur, and I'll go, well, I mean, you got me.
I think
what can I say?
James Gunn will come out and hit you with some good comedy in these Marvel movies, and I think that
comedy in this movie.
I think that this definitely was one of the highlights, and has been the highlights of all the Guardians movies, where it's not. They really bring in the humor well to add some levity to the scenes rather than it just being like, hey, we've got a serious scene. We need to put in a Build-A-Bear quote in here. We need to just drop this.
That Build-A-Bear quote is like the bane of your existence.
Dude, it's my least favorite thing.
Jeez.
Tony Stark comes back. He's skinny. He ain't eating. He's depressed because like the world snapped, right? And he comes down and he's saying Build-A-Bear jokes.
Tony Stark.
Anyway. This movie does humor really well, and you've got 5 funny bits that you're going to tell us. Vinny's 5 funny bits.
No, there was humor in this movie, but a lot of the time wasn't. I don't think it was. I don't know.
You telling me like you've got Jub Jub, people saying Jub Jub, and then like no one knows what Jub Jub means. Then Drax comes through and says
there's content,
hey,
but
brother,
I think
Jub Jub means this.
I think there was. I don't know. Maybe the comedy was good. I think there was too much. What's the word? Like forced emotion. That's another thing.
Let's get into that after. Do Vinny's funny bits. Yeah.
All right. So the part where they were in the Nathan Fillion, they all look like Among Us.
Yeah.
Was hilarious when Drax and Mantis are. I do want to see a movie with
like name a more iconic duo.
But I also maybe don't.
Well, we did see the Christmas episode.
Yeah, but that wasn't that good.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're good in small doses here and there, but that when they fell in like you're hopeless in love. That was that. I was losing it. That is hilarious.
Well, he's played because like you said it like as if like you're mumbling like you're a mumble rapper. So say it like with enunciate what you meant.
You seen the movie?
Dude, VDT hasn't seen the movie, man.
That's on him. Okay, so they're infiltrating the dealer, fund and supplier, and Drax and Mantis are there. They've got to pass some sort of checkpoint gate. There's a security guy there. Mantis, does her, hey, I can make you feel whatever you want to feel. You're hopelessly in love with him.
Yeah.
Meaning Drax.
Yeah, that's all I wanted you to say, because when you said hopelessly in love, and
then you got the trap beat behind, and then we'll make millions, and that's the money making scheme.
We are like Moneybag.
That's a free one.
The funniest part about that is that Drax becomes so uncomfortable so quickly.
But also, you can just tell that she does this all the time.
Oh yeah,
and that's hilarious because and he knows that he's got to do it because that works.
And they're good mates,
And they're good mates.
I think you're right, and I mean James, like this team has been built up.
Yeah.
Right. And this team has been built up to the point where you feel like they are genuinely friends. They are genuinely teammates. And I think those little things with Drax and Mantis just really knock that out of the park and hone that in.
I do like Mantis as a character.
Yeah, Mantis is cool.
I think yeah.
Mantis has gone off on her own with the 3 tentacle characters now, right?
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Anyway, all right. So
just the tentacle characters hilarious.
What's next on Vinny's?
The next one is
this. I don't know if
this is not meant to be comedy, but this is something that I found hilarious. Gamora calls up to say, "Hey, Ravagers, come get me, come pick me up." And obviously, he's absolutely fried the dude. He's looking like charcoal chicken. And I don't even know what the lady's name, High Priestess, I think it was. Yeah. Gamora's saying, "Hey, pick me up. I'm at the crib, and the high priestess starts off with like salutations
in like a real British accent.
And Gamora's like, yeah, here's my coordinates.
That was funny.
That's like when you get into the Uber and you see the man's and you look at the picture and the picture's not the man's.
I mean, you're not in the right Uber.
That's what I mean. She's not calling the right person. Yeah. Someone starts a sentence off with salutations. You got to ask questions. It doesn't matter if you know them or not.
I thought you were going to say like you hop in the Uber, like Uber says salutations. You say I'm cancelling this ride. That's 0 stars.
Yeah,
brother.
but that's true as well.
That's true as well.
That's true as well.
That was funny, and I think we just to briefly touch on Adam Warlock, his approach is hilarious too.
Yeah, he's a funny character, but you didn't need him in this movie.
No, not in this movie.
No.
But if you had a movie where it was Adam Warlock versus the Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Bit different.
And then maybe at the end he becomes a member because he realizes hey, I'm whatever.
I feel like they've done this before. You've got the big bad, you got the small bad. The small bad becomes the good guy, and then they fight the big bad.
Oh, I'm sure you've done it before.
I'm sure they've done it before. I haven't done it before. Not from my movie.
Well, I mean, Gamora is the exact
similar
idea of that, right?
Yeah, I guess.
I will say very quickly, Gamora as well in this movie. Like she's bad in this movie.
Yeah, and she's bad because she's got the hair.
Right?
She's got the different hair, and it's got red on the ends.
And she's just shooting people in like femoral arteries.
Yeah, see that was.
I thought that was great.
There's a lot of good parts, when they're in the Among Us place, when they're looking like Jub-Jubs.
They're looking like Jub-Jubs.
They're looking like Jub-Jubs, and she's just shooting people.
Amazing.
And Peter Quill's going, that's not what we do here. That's not what we do. No, we don't do that here.
Yeah.
And she just keeps shooting people.
Fantastic.
And Peter Quill keeps apologizing, which, that's the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's the team that you've seen over the past 2 movies, and I guess other ones.
Yeah.
And so things like that make it feel like a more down-to-earth movie, more contained. And then you got
Jub-Jubs
and then you got Jub-Jubs.
I'm glad that Peter Quill and Gamora didn't get back together as well.
Yes.
And I think even more so to that Nebula and Peter Quill didn't get together.
That was hilarious.
It was funny that they had that tension between them. That was funny. But the fact that they just used that as a joke rather than it being like, hey, now they're going to be the ones that get together.
Yeah.
And again, this is a reason why Marvel should be comfortable with doing some closure. Because you've done closure now. Gamora and Peter Quill, Peter Quill's accepted his fate. If I see Star-Lord return and he's doing, they do say Star-Lord return, so maybe it's a new Star-Lord. But if I see Star-Lord return, right, and he's doing like, Gamora, baby, please.
Baby, please. Please, baby. And he's just following her around.
Yeah. And
it's just, they go through one of those portal things, next planet. Text. Baby, please. Gamora's shooting people. Don't shoot people. Baby, please. Next planet.
Like, I'll get down on one knee for you, baby. I just need to get my check-ins and my savings right. Like, let me just get the money for it.
You're the only one for me, baby.
Yeah, dude. If he was doing that, like, I would, I'd stand up in the cinema and I'd say, are we really paying for this?
And then everyone would walk out.
And I'd say, let's make a movement, and we walk out, and I'd be the only one walking out.
Yeah. Because people paid like $54 for the cinemas these days.
That's right. Yeah.
They're going, well, if it's bad or not, I'm at least sitting in this comfy chair.
And like petrol's a lot, over $2 a litre right now.
Is it?
Yeah. As I look outside, it's over $2 a litre.
To get petrol on the way home, it better not be $2 because it was $1.70.
I'm talking about $2, $1.25 in some places.
Nah.
Yeah, dude.
You better be playing games with me now.
I'm not playing no games, man. I wanted to see the Meg 2 this week.
We got to wrap this up.
Dude, we got to wrap this up and make some money.
Okay, so
hit him with one more funny thing, then we'll jump into the heart of the movie.
Yeah, the heart of the movie. Real quick, they say dumb idiot in this movie. Drax calls someone a dumb idiot. And I was thinking,
we got to get residuals
we better get credit. We better get credit at least. We got to get something.
If I hear someone say, and we're here, which they probably said in that movie, and I hear someone say like dumb idiot, we need to get some residuals.
I'm gonna be making some calls.
Because Disney's out here looking at everything. They got some AI that grabs media from everywhere so they can have all the media. They've come down the back catalog.
What's that media? That's mine.
They saw the 3 views on the last video and they said, listen, we got to get this. Train to Busan was trending when we did it, and we got 3 views.
So that doesn't add up to me.
Like I looked, and Train to Busan has lost money somehow. Like they had to pay the people back their money because they're like, yeah, these dudes did the review. We lost money.
Sorry, you're not trending anymore after this. The funniest part of this movie for me was when they were getting in the car, when they were in the Counter Earth, which that whole place was really cool.
That was funny.
I really like that. When they're in the car and Peter Quill was explaining to, what's her name? Nebula, how to open a car door.
Yeah.
And he's going, push the button, that's the keyhole. And then she's like, pushing the button. What do I do now? Open the door.
Yeah.
That was, I lost it there.
Did you laugh because they like hit him with the F-bomb? And like people in the cinemas would have been like, I have to hold my son's ears.
Impact. They don't do that anywhere in the movie. You put that there once, you hit them hard, it has more impact because it's not, if they did that 4 or 5 times in the movie, it wouldn't be as good, that bit. Same with the music. That's my issue I have with the music. Music is good. I really like the music. You're playing things, Rocket's playing things, and he's going to do things.
He's playing them out loud.
I love that. I love music too, in movies.
You like music to just dance to. You're a dancer sort of guy.
Yeah. I'll dance like 0% of my life.
Yeah.
But there's too much. It loses impact.
Yeah.
And we're here.
And that's an "and we're here" moment if I've ever heard it, because you're exactly right there.
So that's all I've got for Vincent's funny spits.
Let's go to the heart of this movie. Rocket is the heart of this movie.
We haven't even talked about what actually happened in this movie. We haven't talked about the meat and potatoes of this movie. Is what I'm saying.
Well, this is the meat and potatoes right now.
Now we're in the meat and the potatoes.
And I mean, you want to do
the entree.
You want to do your entree, and we're 30 minutes in, so we haven't got much meat and potatoes left. And it's slim pickings, $2.125 for what's it called, petrels. Anyway, we're here. And Rocket is the heart of this movie. He is the reason why the Guardians of the Galaxy are out there doing Guardians of the Galaxy things, because there's a piece in his heart that he's being shot. They can't bypass this thing because he's made by this high evolutionary. Yeah. And there's some thing in his heart.
They need the key to unlock the thing that if they try to help him, he dies.
The jiggly bits, all the sorts of scientific things that Vincent would say.
Yeah, I'm not saying any more gibberish. And the High Evolutionary, he's trying to... I like the High Evolutionary as a character.
He's a cool character.
We needed more of him.
Yeah.
We need more of him. I mean, at one point...
Vincent, impact. See what I'm saying? You see, you want like 95% High Evolutionary, and then you're going to be like... you're going to tell me impact.
That's completely different. Like, it's not like...
You're going to say one simply does not
we just put a dude in there for a minute. But look at this impact.
I think that he was... good enough because there was elements of him that started to make, because he was one of those dudes that's like, oh, I'm so lovely when I'm speaking to you, but really I'm down dirty with you. You know what I mean? Like that's what he was saying.
I like
British. He was British, right?
Yeah, I think so. I like the progression into madness, into desperation.
Yes, right. And
you know what?
Did you like seeing like sloths and kangaroos turn into like bigger sloths and kangaroos?
No, the whole animal stuff that did nothing for me. Even the stuff with Rocket when they're, hey, we got Teats, we got Floor, we got Lilac or whatever.
I mean, you hear someone call themselves Teefs with an F.
Yeah, but you've seen them eyes.
So he should be called Ises.
He should be like, your eyes need to be shut.
Like Ises and Teefs.
He's doing like Mad Max eyes.
So the Rocket is a part of us. We knew from the start that Rocket was, involved in some sort of scientific studies to make him who he was. And it turns out there's a whole bunch of other animals that are also in there.
Yeah, the High Evolutionary is trying to make the perfect society.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And we're talking about society.
And that's all because he wants to go down onto Counter Earth. He wants someone to, I don't know, double park him, and he wants to get out of his car, and he says like, we're living in a society.
I mean, we do, dude.
And he's just yelling it.
And he's got the hair for it. He's got the hair for it. At least towards the end of the movie, he's got the hair for it.
Yeah.
One of the things that we talk about Rocket being the heart of the movie. There's a lot of elements of animal cruelty in this movie, which I mean, if you see an animal that is scared, that tugs right at your heartstrings. Yeah. But as Vincent had said before, and I totally agree with what he said, a lot of it felt very forced. It's like, hey, look, you got to be sad because look at this.
So much of it was forced.
Look at this otter, ain't got no arms, man. Ain't got no arms.
I thought it was a penguin when it came in. I was thinking, I want to see a penguin, like a royal cybernetic penguin.
I mean, you get a cybernetic king penguin.
Oh, no.
One of them, emperor penguins. Emperor penguins?
Yeah.
Yeah, unreal.
And then the end of the movie, they're out there and they end up, pushing the High Evolutionary out of his ship, and he's just like, "Long live the king," or "The king is dead, long live the king," or something like that.
Yeah, he hits him with like a.
Or "Long live the emperor."
Long live the emperor. Yeah.
If you need writing notes, let me know.
I thought you were going to say like he hits you with a Surf's Up sort of reference. Like he's just surfing after that.
He pulls out a surfboard, he just smacks you, surfs up.
Like he's got no other skills other than like he's good at surfing now.
Yeah.
And that's shout out to the movie Surf's Up.
And I don't know if I've ever seen that movie, but Surf's Up.
Surf's Up. I agree that there's a whole lot of parts where things are very forced. And one of the most forced elements of it is when I think initially when Rocket is shot, that was quite a good scene because they're trying to work to get him to help him out, but it's not working. But one of the parts that was very forced was when the High Evolutionary or one of the mates of the High Evolutionary shoots the otter. And then Rocket just starts screaming, right? Rocket just starts screaming.
As in, that was further in the movie.
That was further in the movie. That was later in the movie.
Because they did flashbacks on Rocket's upbringing and whatever. And
when Rocket did that scream, and it's a blood-curdling scream, he's very upset. And then I was sitting there thinking, I see what you're doing here. Like, James, I see what you're doing here. You tried to specifically jump right into the strings. But what you did was you forced it upon me.
Strings?
The heartstrings.
Oh, the heartstrings.
You forced it upon me there. The other stuff, I think, when you approach it in a much more subtle way than just a man being like, I'm so upset. Life is terrible. It was a good point in the fact that he broke from that point. Like, that was his breaking point.
Yeah, I think the whole Rocket story, and I'll tell you this much. You give me 500 origin stories of the same person, I'll watch every single one.
You'll do it.
I'll watch every single one.
What about if you figured out that his name was Rocket because he saw a rocket one time?
Then I'll slap you in the face with the surfboard.
Wow.
I'll do that.
And like Teefs is called Teefs because he's got teeths.
But I think the whole Rocket origin story, whatever, I just felt like it was just not genuine. It just felt, and I don't know if it was because the animals looked a bit weird.
I don't know about all that.
CGI?
Like, you didn't like Teefs, is what you're telling me. That was so like,
No, I'm not letting like they were fine.
Yeah.
They were fine. I think it was very mid for me. I didn't think it was something that I would go, man, this is, and I got emotional when Peter saw his grandfather. Yeah. I got emotional there. I got emotional at parts of this movie. That wasn't a part, and that was probably the one where you'd think that would be.
And the grandfather, when not only did Peter see his grandfather, but the grandfather recognized him.
Yeah, that guy. I just got shivers.
Maybe it's because there is a more human element to it.
I don't think so. Well, I just think because maybe it was a human element, but look, if they had just seen when they saw the raccoons and the start of it, that one I was at the start of the story for Rocket.
Yeah,
I was feeling things.
You're like, no, man, I can't. I was
going, nah, man, I'm sad, and then you see him grow up a little bit, and then I think just at some point it just felt like nothing
when he's like talking about like teeths and whatnot.
Well, I think
like he's saying words a bit differently.
I think when he's doing equations and then the High Evolutionary is doing, I just think it was just. I don't know. I just didn't like it.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, that's fair. Look. The world that we live in is subjective, and you can like or not like things.
That's right. But objectively, when the ship was going down, and one of the people with like the Walkman stuck in their heads said, "Oh, God help us all," or like, "For God's sake," and then the High Evolutionary says something like, "There is no God. That's why I stepped in."
Yeah,
that was top tier. That was top tier.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
that's a line.
They'll hit you with those lines. And I mean, if you put that in a movie and then that could bump it up from like a 6.5 to a 7. So what I'm thinking is right now what we can do is we can jump right into the ratings here.
Yeah.
And then we can get out of
I think we've said everything that needs to be said about this movie.
Because we're about 40 minutes in.
We're about 39 minutes in.
We got time limits here.
That's right. I reckon this is probably a 6. This is a 6 for me.
Yeah, I said it last week and I'll say it again this week. A 7 to a 7.5 is a good action romp.
Yeah.
And this is a 7 for me.
This is not something that I'm going to watch again. Number one, because it's too long. It's not something that I want to watch again.
The Batman is like 3 hours and I watched that many a time.
But I'll watch that 3 times in the same day. Yeah. Because you're there for 3 hours. I wasn't here for 2.5 hours.
No, that's exactly right. And we had this conversation because I messaged you yesterday and I said, this was Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Damn, I said it the wrong way. Woo! This has been the back catalog.